Hello and welcome to the fifth experiment of the WebTech lab, which is JavaScript, the DOM elements and events. So let us begin with our experiment. The first question given to us in this experiment is to write a function that accepts a string as parameter and to find the number of words. So here is an example. Let us jump into the solution where I am using prompt to get the string from the user. As soon as the web page is loaded, a prompt will be generated for the user to enter the string, and I basically write the string onto the HTML web page. I write its length as well using the .length function, and I'm using a variable which stores the string. It splits the string based on the delimiter I'm providing inside the brackets. So here my delimiter is space, which means that this string will be made into an array on the basis of words. So I'll have an array of words, and I'm going to write these words. I'm going to write the length of these words, or rather the word count, using the length function. Similarly, I'm using a for loop to traverse the word array. Basically, how many words are there, the array will be traversed, and I write this onto the web page, and I write the length of each word onto the web page. Basically, I'm supposed to print the number of words, the length of each word, and the longest word and the shortest word. So I'm creating a variable. Let's say these are my variables. Both are initialized to an initial value. Let's say the first word of the array words, and I'm running a for loop, a usual for loop. And if the word, if my word inside this array words is greater than this lword dot length, then lword is equal to the word at position I inside the array words. Similarly, I do for the shortest word. Just reverse the sign, and I'll as you can see here, I'm just supposed to write it onto the HTML web page. Now my second question inside this experiment is to create a grade calculator. So for that, I'll create a basic form in HTML, and I'm going to create a function calculate. Now this variable is used to get the value that I've entered, that the user has entered in the HTML form. So I'm using the .get element by ID. I've provided the ID where. So if we check the form, this is our form. So I have provided the WebTech marks as the ID web, and the database marks will have the ID data. And I have a button which on click is an event. It should run this function calculate, and I must get my grade. So using slabbing, I've provided the grade ranges, and I've also provided the grades based on where the marks lie in the range. And once I get the element by ID, I have to get the element by ID, that is score. I've created so I'm supposed to print the score, or rather the grade, in that field. So dot in HTML basically writes onto the web page where I have provided the ID score, and that will be my grade, which will be displayed on the screen to the user after he entered his marks. Now moving on to the third question, where I have to design pattern. Basically, I have to give a few images inside, and I have to generate a random pattern based on the number of columns and rows entered by the user. So here's my function. I'll store. I've provided the user with again 2 boxes to enter his row and column value, and I'm going to get that value using the dot value, which is followed after you give the get elements by ID. And I'm going to create an array of images. So these are the 2 images that I'm using to generate the pattern, and I've given them in an array. So I run a for loop. I run a nested for loop inside for the number of columns. This is for the rows, this is for the columns. Now I'm going to create a random number. That is, any pattern should be printed based on number of rows and columns. Any pattern. So based on this random number generated, I'll have the image inside the array. That is, either of the 2 images will be selected. So I can set attributes, what is the required attributes for the images on the web page. And finally, After I've run the loop for that many rows and columns, I come out and I'm supposed to print that image onto the HTML web page, and that will go on for the number of rows and columns. And finally, the fourth question given to us is the fourth question is a weight editor. Basically, I'm supposed to convert pounds to kilograms and kilograms to pounds. So I'll provide the user with an interface, and I'm going to get the value of the first box and the second box. And also I've provided so these are my options: pounds, kilograms, and kilograms, pounds. Notice that I've given the value according to the name. So kilograms here is 2, and here it's 2. Here it's occurring first, here it's occurring second, because that's how you're going to convert, pounds to kilograms, kilograms to pounds. So we'll see that on the web page. And once I click on convert, it must convert and must print the result in this provided a span element ID answer. So when we use get element by ID dot in HTML, we're going to put this inside. And this is a normal conversion. I just get the value for the index. So if I've selected 1, that is our pounds, and I've selected index is 2, that is 2 kilograms, then it should be multiplied with a certain value. But if I've taken kilograms and I want to convert it to pounds, that is 1. That is the value I've provided in the list, and there our x will be changed accordingly. And finally, we write it onto the web page. So the final question is a pizza order form. So for the small pizza, a cost is provided to us of 200, of 100. A medium pizza is 200, and a large pizza is about 400, followed by tax as additional 9% to the order. User also pays a 10-20% of the total cost of the order after tax. So we're going to write a JavaScript code for this as well. And see, this is our basic. We provide input for small, medium, and large, and a tip. We're going to provide again radio buttons for the tip, because it can be either of these. And we provide a button which on click calculates the entire cost of the pizza. So we have created variables for small, medium, and large, and here we get them using the get element by ID function dot value. So we get the value of whether how many small pizzas, how many medium, and how many large. Finally, our bill is 100 into S for the small, which is given to us, 200 into M, and 400 into large. So our total is equal to 0.09 into whatever. So that is if our tax is that is our tax, which is 9%, and a tip calculator. So we are using dot query selector, and we are providing the tip as the identifier here. So it knows that it has to take the value from the tip that we provided. And finally, it should provide the total and print it onto the web page. So let's take a look at how this runs. We're going to need to rerun the project after essentially. Here this is let's say, so this is the string we have entered, and this is our basic. So let's say we've got a 60 in our tech and an 80 in database. So we get a grade. Our grade is correctly displayed. Let's say this is 3 rows and 2 columns. We design a pattern. So you can see our random images are generated. We don't know which images. So that is the use for the random function in our JavaScript that we use. Let's say 3 pounds to kilograms. We calculate. This is the answer. And finally, pizza order. Let's say we have 3 small pizzas, 2 medium, 1 large. A tip, 9% tax will be added, and a 10% tip. We calculate, and this is the cost of our order. And remember the string we had entered, hello and welcome. This is our string, and string length is 17. The total length, the word count is 3, which is absolutely right. And the length of each word is given 5, correct, 3, and 7. So the longest word is welcome, and the smallest is admin. So this is the result of the 5th experiment. The output has been verified. Thank you.